Back to the Arbitress YouTube channel. Today we'll be learning how to make this beautiful beaded fringe attached to fabric. Okay, in this tutorial we attached it to the sleeve, but it can be on any part of the fabric. It can be on the waistline, it can be on the chest line, or anywhere you want it to be. So I'll be teaching us a do-it-yourself class on how you can achieve this yourself without having to go and buy ready-made beaded fringe in the market. This is what you would like to learn. Kindly stay tuned till the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So in today's tutorial, I'll be learning how to make beaded fringe using these glass beads. I'll be working with these glass beads for this tutorial, and this is sold around 900 naira per pack. It's actually fuller than this. I've used out of it. So there are different types of beads. This is one. There are also some called pipe beads, which is smaller, which is just straight like this. It's also sold in this pack also, and if you don't want to get a full pack, they can sell for you in small quantity. They'll just pack it like this. They sell this for 100 naira per pack. So this is just like a regular bead. It's not too shiny or anything, but there are also some that we call crystal beads. It comes in strands like this. It's a bit expensive compared to glass beads. It just comes in strands, but it glitters, as you can see. So it can be in this form. This is a teardrop form, or in round form, or in pipe form like this one. So it depends on what you're going for and the amounts you are willing to spend. Okay, so now for this tutorial we will need our bead, we will need our needle. I'm using a regular needle. You can also use a bead needle, but bead needle is quite soft depending on the thickness. The one I have is not so thick, so I don't want it to be breaking. I'll just be using my regular hand needle, and then I'll be using my fishing line. This is just a 0.3mm fishing line. You can also use your regular thread, but I just prefer fishing line because it's transparent. It's like an invisible thread, and you can use any color of bead with it. It's not going to show. So now to start, I'm going to be passing my fishing line through the eye of the needle like this, and once it enters, I'm not going to make it too long, because if it's too long you may not be able to control it. So depending on the size of fringe that I'm going for, I think I'm okay with this. So I'm just going to just normal passing just once. I'm not doubling it because fishing line is quite strong compared to our regular thread. So once I have this now, like I said, it's very strong, it's not going to cut. I'm going to tie it to secure it at the edge, just like we normally tie our rope. Okay, so once I do this and it is secured, I tie this like twice on the same spot. I'm going to cut it off. So now I will start beading our clothes. So I'll be doing my beading on my sleeve, on this clothes that are already made. So it's just a tiny sleeve, and I want to use the bead to just give it some form of beauty. Okay, so now remember, I've secured my fishing line, I've tied it, the knot is already here. So from behind, not from, this is the upper part of the sleeve, from down part of the sleeve, I'm going to be passing my needle like this, and then I'll pass it back again. So after that, I'll bring it up also in the same area, then I'll bring it down the second time. Once it is down like this, I've secured it to my fabric, to my dress. So the next thing for me now is to start picking my beads. So now it depends on the size that you are going for. That depends on the amount of bead that you're going to pick. But for reference purpose, you may want to count your bead for the first time, so that you will not need to start running around to know the exact measurements you are going for. So now I have 3 here. If you're patient enough, you can count. Maybe 60 you are going to use. If you're going for like maybe 6 inches or 7 inches fringe, you will count it for the first time, and you keep measuring it till you get to your 7 inches. So once you get it, you will know the amount of bead that gave you the 7 inches that you're looking for, and when you are doing the subsequent ones, you will know the exact amount of beads that you'll be using. So now I'll be filling this up to get my desired fringe length. Okay, so now I've filled up my beads, and I'll just take my tape rule to check the length that I have. So I'm going for a 7 inches length, and I have my 7 inches here exactly, so I'm okay with it. Now to tie it, to secure it, I'm going to pick the last bead like this. Remember, this is my strand and my needle, and then I'm going to just pass my needle through the last bead from behind like this. I'll pass it inside, and then I'll bring it out. Once I bring it out like this, I'll pass it through the remaining thread that I have, and then I'm just going to secure it like I'm tying it the way we normally tie knots on our fabric. So I'm going to repeat it again just to secure it. I'll pass it through the last one, and once I passed it, the remaining thread that I have, I'm going to pass it before completely dragging it. So once I have this now, I'm sure that I've secured it. So to further secure it again, I'm going to pass my needle. See what I'm doing here? I'm going to start passing my needle through the beads that I already have up as much as I can, so that I will know that these beads are secured. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just passing them up just to secure them, because I don't want them to just cut off and then scatter. And then when you are doing this, make sure that it is not too tight, because if it is too tight, your bead will not relax well. I mean the strand that you have, it shouldn't be too tightly close together. If it is too tight, your beads will be folding like this. It will not relax well, and at the same time it shouldn't be too loose. So you have to be careful. You can be checking it to see if it relaxes well or if it is too tight, to know how you're going to adjust accordingly. So once I pass it up like this, and I'm here somewhere that is comfortable for me, I'll just cut it off, and then we have our first strand. Okay, you can see what this looks like. So this is what our first strand look like. Now we are going for the second one. Okay, so for the second one, you just need to choose the interval that you wish to have between each of your strand. Usually that depends on how full you want your bead to be. So for me, like 1/4 of an inch is okay. I can eyeball it, or you can just measure it. And just like we did for the first one, you're going to be passing your needle and thread through it like 2 times, just to secure it to your dress. And then after that, you start passing your beads. Okay, so I've secured it to my threads. Now I'm going to bring my beads, and then I'll start passing into it. So like I said, if you counted it the first time, you can actually use that method. You just know the amount of beads that you will be using. But if you're somebody that cannot really count it, because they're actually small beads, just like I did, I just eyeball it. So once I start picking it and I've done some, I'm just going to place it beside the one I've done and see where it is, and then I'll continue picking. Okay, so as I'm filling it, I'll keep checking to know the length. So as you can see, I already have my length, but I think this is just longer by a bead. So I'm going to remove the bead that is too much, and then I'll have equal length as my first one. So like I did for the first one, I'm just going to pass it from behind and tie it. Well, another style you can do with this, if you want to use this to actually form like a design, so from here now you can just form like a curve here, and then you pass it from through your needle, and then you pass it to this side of your thread, and then you have something like this. Just any design that you wish to form. So you can see this is like another design, so you can keep doing it like that till you finish whatever it is that you want to do. But this is not what we are doing for this tutorial. I just thought to show us. So now I'm going to close this now, and then fill up the whole space to get my desired length that I want for the entire sleeve. I'll do that off camera and then bring it back to show us. Okay, so I've filled my beads to some extent, as you can see. And you can see the interval that I have between them. Like I said, the interval depends on how full you want your bead to be. And you can see how beautiful this is looking. This is a glass bead, so assuming we are using like a crystal bead, it will just be shining. So it's the same process. It depends on the type of bead that you wish to go for. So you just need to fill up the whole sleeve, or wherever you want it to be. It can just be on the top part of the sleeve. It doesn't have to just fill everything up, depending on what you're going for actually. And the length can be actually longer than this. So I'll just take this to the mannequin now to show us. But before you show us, you can see what fishing line just does for it. See how you cannot even notice that we passed anything through it. It's just invisible. This is the front, and this is what the back is also looking like. So you are not going to be noticing any sleeve or anything, any thread color or anything. It's just going to conceal it for you, so that it will give your fringe that perfect finish in that you're aiming for. Okay, so now let's go to the mannequin to see what we have. This is what our sleeve look like after filling up the whole this side. Okay, so how full it is depends on how close you go with it, and the length can also be more than this. This is just around 7 inches. Like I said, it can be longer, it can be up to your elbow or your calf or wherever you want it to be, and it's very beautiful. It just makes the dress look more elegant. You can see this is the side that doesn't have a fringe. You can see the difference between the two sides. You can see how beautiful this is. Okay, so thank you for watching our video. We really appreciate your support on our channel. Kindly leave a comment, let us know if this video has helped you in any way. See you in the next one. Bye.